This is the reconstructed McCowan log house, or log cabin, a wooded shelter dwelling originally built by the McCowan family sometime shortly after 1848 on what is now called the Wilkett Creek Park in the northern part of Malvern area of Toronto, Ontario. This is an image provided by the Scarborough Historical Society of the McCowan log house on its original site, which may include James McCowan and his wife Margaret McCowan, and his son William Willie P. McCowan. The log cabin was moved to Thompson Memorial Park in 1974, and it was reconstructed in the 1990s to look as it once did in the 1850s. It is now open to the public and a part of the City of Toronto Cultural Services. The McCowan family immigrated to Scarborough from Lancashire, Scotland. Now, Scarborough was originally called Glasgow until 1793, when Elizabeth Simcoe, wife of Lieutenant Governor John Graves Simcoe, renamed the area after Scarborough in Yorkshire, England, because the White Cliffs, or Scarborough Bluffs, reminded her of Yorkshire, England. She was actually an artist herself, and she evidently made this self-portrait here from the Canadian Encyclopedia website in watercolor. Now, the brother of James McCowan was supposed to join the McCowan family, but he died on the sea voyage en route to Canada. This is a painting by William C. Doby, whose family migrated from Liverpool in 1849, around the same time as the McCowan family. However, he went first to New York, and eventually on the north side of Lake Erie in London, Ontario, his family ended up. It captures just how dangerous immigration to North America was in the 19th century. I visited the current location of the McCowan log house or log cabin at Thompson Memorial Park, where it was moved in 1974 and finally restored in the 1990s to the state it would have appeared in the 19th century when it was the home of the McCowan family who originally purchased 100 acres of land in what is now the Wilkett Creek Park area. And they engaged in sheep farming or sheep herding. They were shepherds because wool manufacture and wool textile production here was a big industry at the time. Here's a short video of the log cabin as it appears today. Here from Europe in the 1830s, and they were originally sheep farmers. Now I actually have the booklet with some pictures I'm going to add to this video of the pictures taken of the original McCowan family. I know this location behind me here, this building, is actually located near the Toronto Zoo, and it was moved here during this reconstruction period around 1970s, and it's preserved here as a part of the Toronto Museum, Toronto Heritage. So let's come in and take a look. As you can see here, a lot of the rooms have been preserved. We can see the bedroom here from the 1830s. So the carriage, chair. We have for the parents. Okay, this would have been for the Mr. and Mrs. McCowan. Now their brother actually was supposed to join them. However, the brother passed away sadly on the voyage here. We have a rotisserie here, and now included today we have First Nations treaties, of course, represented from 1781 to 1930s, all of the treaties of Ontario. So the museum takes an effort to make sure that guests are fully versed in all of the history of the region. And you see the fireplace here. Just imagine about 3-4 people living here, with farms of sheep all around them, just living in this one small, really like a one-room house. And it's just quite amazing that it's been recreated here for us. So yeah, just make sure you take your families to Toronto Heritage Places and learn more about your local neighborhood. Kyle, Anger Archaeologist, thank you. I appreciated the inclusion of a treaty map of Ontario. These are the treaties signed between Indigenous governments and the Canadian government within the log house of the McCowan family, because, of course, this is Indigenous land, and Indigenous presence here in Ontario goes all the way back to the Paleolithic period, over 10,000 years ago. For our purposes today, as it relates to the area settled by the McCowan family and slightly earlier Thompson family, where the log cabin now sits, both were Scottish immigrant families. And the land here around Scarborough, although traces of human activity here go back to when the land became available for habitation when glaciers retreated, substantial Indigenous settlement here can be traced in the archaeological record to the 14th century Common Era, AD, these being the ancestral lands of the Wendake or Wendat Confederation. Now, other immigration to the north side of Lake Ontario did occur in the 17th century, when the Six Nations, or Haudenosaunee, and the Mississaugas migrated here. Note, when I say substantial indigenous settlement, I'm talking my cue from ASI Heritage. You're right that the indigenous lifeways here is in the Scarborough, Toronto area, characterized by large settlements with reliance primarily on agriculture, a large longhouse-based villages with clan integration within and between, matrilineal systems of descent, shared governance structures, shared religious beliefs, and shared burial customs. It is at the beginning of the 1300s when this is first demonstrated in the archaeological record here in the Toronto Scarborough area, and it is a tribute to the ancestors of the Wendat Confederation or Wendake peoples. But keep in mind, please, indigenous presence, including from other social groups like the ancestors of the Algonquin peoples, or Anishinaabe peoples in Ontario, goes back much farther than that. Overall human activity in Ontario goes back to the Paleolithic about 13,000 years ago, to a time when southern Ontario looked more like an Arctic tundra landscape now seen in places like Nunavut. Regarding the pictures of farming I've been using, I found out about some early photographers active here in southern Ontario, specifically related to agriculture. Preserved online are the works of the Bartle brothers, Simon and Herman Arthur Bartle, professional traveling photographers, and Reuben R. Sallows, a professional commercial photographer who specialized in agrarian and pastoral scenes, who moved to Goderich, Ontario in 1876. Their photos are preserved online and available online free of charge at Archives of Ontario, a collection of agricultural images. Link available in the comments below. The site where the log cabin of the McCowan family sits today is on what is called the Thompson Settlement, 400 acres of land around the current Thompson Park and Scarborough, land purchased or granted to the Thompson family by the Crown in 1796. David Thompson and Andrew Thompson and Archibald Thompson, three brothers, were all sawmill owners, each owning their own sawmill for lumber, and stonemasons who worked on the then York Parliament building and who had a hand in building the first road which connected York to the settlement. When I visited the Scarborough Historical Society, I went through some old photos they had available in their collections, and I was struck just by how forested Scarborough was in the 19th century. Evidently, wood processing was a booming industry here, so much so that the Thompson family operated 3 sawmills here, presumably for the construction of some of the first European structures here in Scarborough and York, Toronto, or wood for export back to Europe. These pictures of a sawmill I found at the Hope Mill Saw operation located in Keene, Ontario. It is a preserved and still functioning, with added modern enhancements, sawmill and wool processing facility, process called fulling. From 1835, William Lang and his wife Jane Stewart Lang built a carding and fulling wool textile processing mill on the Indian River, a mile north of the village of Lang, Ontario. It is part of the Lang Pioneer Village Museum, open to the public, and I definitely want to make sure I visit this location at some point for you all here. There is also a Pioneer Village here in Toronto, Canada. I hope to make another visit before winter for you all here as well. The McCowan family has had a long history here in Canada and Ontario, and I wanted to mention that I came across unfortunately, the obituary of the late Mr. John Ray Jack McCowan, a World War II RCAF veteran who sadly passed away in 2021 at the age of 102. I don't have his family's permission, the McCowan family, to share his image, so I will not, of course, but I did link his obituary page so you feel like paying respects to a late member of the McCowan family who lived in our own lifetimes today. Thank you for watching. Kyle, the Archaeologist.